reporting on third. I'm talking about the KISE, the thicker group that was supposed to go, and we were supposed to have our Knec exam in our center. But because of the activities, I think God has also been favoring us. We are going to have our examination at KISE, and you are reminded that the accommodation spaces that are left are very limited. Very limited. Those who are interested, find a way on how you can reach the institution as early as possible, even if it means going there to book for yourself a space, even if it means making calls and paying to book yourself a space. Otherwise, the chances of the spaces that are there are very limited, because even the regular students are there, and they are also going to sit for this Knec examination. So take this and do not mislead yourself by saying that you are supposed to report on 24th. The instructions were very clear from the HOD, and I think I had shared on the wall that we are reporting on third. On third, you're supposed to report so that we can have some divisions before, and then on fourth, we are going to have the rehearsals. On the fifth, we begin our examinations. That is the examinations we run all the way through Friday. So that is how things remain as at now, unless otherwise. I want us to carry on from where we left yesterday, and I don't know whether we were able to. Yes, we were supposed to begin from this number. Which number is this? This is number 2. Yes, number 2B. Number 2C, on why it is important for a special needs teacher to consider the following when handling learners who are below 6 years of age. I want us to look at that question, and then thereafter, I want us to look at the slide with the answers as we proceed. Discuss why it is important for a special needs teacher to consider the following when handling learners who are below 6 years of age. And the first one there, we have movement. We also have communication. So why should a special needs teacher consider movement when handling learners who are below 6 years? Yes?
It strengthens their gross motor. I'll just try. Their gross motor skills.
Movement strengthens, the importance of movement is that it strengthens the gross motor skills of these learners, right?
Pascal.
Yes.
Yes, Jacqueline, not Jacqueline, Damaris.
For orientation and mobility purposes.
For orientation and mobility purposes.
Yeah, sijui kama ni point.
So that is, it helps in orientation and mobility. Remember, we are looking at the importances or the body coordination. That is from, who is that? That is Hamadi. Yes?
Pascal.
Yes.
Yes, I think it also strengthens the muscles.
To strengthen the muscles. Watu tumeama.
Tunafikiria chini ya maji.
What happens to the heartbeat if the child does activities like now, exercise? What happens to the heart? I think he improved the heartbeat of the child. Pascal.
Yes, Rosaida.
Please, if I may seek clarification, why special needs teachers should consider the following? Is it why we should practice or why we should observe these practices for movement and communication? I've not yet understood very well.
Damaris.
I think.
Very good. Tuendelee.
I think the question is all about why we should take into it, look into it with the keenness. Why should we observe these things? One, maybe from the way I'm understanding it, the reason why you as a teacher, you need to keenly see how these people is moving around and taking note of certain things. So by observing and taking note, will lead you now to maybe the answer, according to my own thoughts.
So then, can we, from the explanation and maybe the others, what they can give, can we also say so that the teacher can be able to identify if the learners have any challenge and early intervention to be done?
Yeah, because if the child can't move properly, there'll be need for intervention.
Mm-hmm.
At times.
Okay.
Hello.
Yes, carry on.
Yes, continue.
At times, you know, we are living in a wild society. Could be a child has been walking normally now, all of a sudden you notices a very queer kind of movement. You will question, could be child got raped or got molested in a way. There you will also intervene because we are having these learners who are living under what circumstances?
Extreme.
Difficult circumstances or conditions.
Extremely difficult circumstances.
Sasa. So could be ni yule mwenye anaishingi kwa slum, could be alikuwa molested ama alianguka na hii ka fracture needs to be taken care of. At any other normal child. So if such kind of things are noticed earlier, proper intervention is done, it helps a child not to get further injury, which can lead to disability.
Sure.
Josephine, thank you. Thank you very much. So we were looking at yes.
Thank you.
Yeah, we were looking at the movement. What about communication skills? Communication skills, why is it important for a special needs teacher to consider communication skills when handling learners who are below 6 years?
For early intervention, that is another point in that point.
To enable learners to be able to socialize with others well.
For socialization, Femina?
It will help them to express their feelings and emotions. Hello.
Yes.
Yeah, I'm saying it will help them to express their feelings and emotions.
Very right.
their feelings and emotions. Thank you.
I think again, communication skills will enable them to understand instructions from the teacher.
Helps them to understand the instructions from the teacher. Learners will be able to share ideas.
Not just simply instructions from the teacher. We communicate. Communication is only complete when you give instructions and then you also receive. You give the you get the instructions and give the feedback. So they get and give. They get instructions from the teacher and then they communicate well back to the teacher or even with their peers. It will help them also to boost their self-esteem, because kama anaweza ongea vizuri atakuwa na marafiki wengi. Kama hawezi ongea vizuri, nobody will be able to understand him or her, and it will also, by communicating well, if you diagnose anything and help a child to communicate well, you are even helping this child not to get indulged in dangerous situations. Anaweza express kama kuna danger, ama anaweza hata explain further, anaweza jieleza vizuri either through written, through speaking, through oral, written, hiyo yote. Anaweza hata kusoma. Kuna wale wenye hawawezi soma, hawawezi ongea, lakini anaweza andika. Like an incident which we were given by Mr. Diambu when we were being taught that there was a child who was being hijacked. Na the only thing the child could do, aliandika tu kakitu na akastick kwa window. Hawa hawakujua ni nini inaendelea. Wakati walifika kwa polisi, mtoto aliangusha. Baadaye walifuata the car and then the child was rescued. He didn't talk, but he wrote because he was able to communicate.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much. Remember that also through communication, there is language development through the communication. Remember, the more often the child communicates with others, the more the ability to speak in that language well develops, and it keeps growing. So that was on the communication. I want us to carry on, please. We talked about ways in which amniotic fluid positively affects the development of a fetus. So one, we are looking at the functions of the amniotic fluid on the positive side, on how it can help in the development of the fetus. And we are saying that it cushions and protects your baby or the fetus. Remember, when a mother is involved into especially domestic accidents, the mother may fall through the stomach, but you realize that the growing fetus may have very minimal injuries. And as a result of the cushioning or the protection that is offered by the amniotic fluid. And also it keeps a steady temperature around your baby. It is it provides the that required temperature towards the growing fetus, and therefore the baby will grow in an environment that is friendly. And that is why you realize that during birth, a baby has to cry because of the change in the environment. It also helps your baby's lungs grow and develop because your baby breathes in the fluid. Now, did you know that it is just inside that fluid that the baby breathes through? And in most cases, people say that, oh, the mother is breathing with the baby at the same time, but the baby breathes through the fluid. Now, the only challenge that I know may arise, and when we'll be looking at research and rehabilitation, we'll be able to see that, is when the mother gets to a condition where maybe there is asphyxia, where now the oxygen getting to the system is very low. And this can be as a result of some accidents or some conditions that suppresses the oxygen uptake. So this may also now eventually interfere or affect the growing fetus. It also helps your baby's digestive system develop because your baby swallows the fluid. Remember, again, it is just from this fluid that the baby gets to eat. It also keeps the umbilical cord. Of course, we know the umbilical cord is that which carries food and oxygen from the placenta to your baby from being squeezed. And when this umbilical cord is squeezed, it may lead to some complications to the unborn child, especially not to the mother, because the mother has a completely developed system, and like the baby or the fetus. We talked about the indicators of labor during the process of childbirth.
Excuse me.
Yes, James.
There is a point there about the baby swallowing the amniotic fluid. Is it really correct?
That is point number
4.
Number 4.
Yes.
Yes.
Really?
Can we find out?
Mtoto astahili kushika hiyo fluid.
I doubt. That is not right.
Yes.
Because the baby gets the nutrients from the mother, from the placenta through the umbilical cord. And rarely do they swallow this fluid, because it can be harmful.
Yeah, hiyo ni mbaya. Akimeza hiyo fluid ni mbaya. He might even die.
Sure.
Okay, let's carry on. We talked about the indicators during the process. That is during the indicators of labor during the process of childbirth. And we talked about the contractions or tightenings. And I wanted to ask, in which parts do we have the contractions and or the tightenings?
Tell us. You took somebody to the hospitals.
Alifukuzwa kukaribia.
Can you tell us?
Tamaliza tu tutaendelea. Ala, Damaris, umeenda kabisa tena?
Pascal, I think what contracts is the womb. yeah, ina press mtoto anasukuma mtoto anatoka nje. I can guess, I don't know. It is true.
Pascal,
Ni vile mimi ingekuwa kwangu ningeelezea hivi vizuri sana. Lakini dama
Pascal,
nikuelezee, yes.
Aki ningeeleza. I'm waiting for that experience soon.
Do men also experience it?
Not yet. On the way.
I think we experience it, lakini sijui.
Mimi sijaiona. Mina
Hiyo sio kitu ya kuona, ni ya kusikia tu.
hata kusikia sijaisikia wanaume waki-experience. Wanaume ni kiboko tu wanachapa.
Wewe tuendelee, time ni mbaya bana.
Hey, hello.
Hebu nasema tena unataka aje?
Yes, Shani, carry on.
Yeah, I think the part that contracts during birth, it is the cervix. Whereby we were told the cervix, it opens in a way to 4 to 10 centimeters, something of the sort.
So when it opens, it does not contract.
Sorry?
Sasa wacha nikuambie.
Si umesikia contraction and tightening. Na hii tunaongelea during birth. Once by the time mtoto anasonga yeah.
Na open. The womb ina squeeze, ina contract.
No, hapa sasa si tunaangalia like mtoto akitaka kuzaliwa.
Si ndio?
Yeah.
Reproduction.
Sasa ndio nakwambia by the time mtoto anataka kutoka, the cervix has to contract like ndio mtoto afit akitoka.
What is to contract, if I may ask?
The muscles of the womb are the ones that contract. Ndio you push in cervix only dilates.
Yes, the cervix cannot contract.
It dilates. The muscles of the womb ndio zina contract. Ndio unasikia labor pain, mtoto anateremka chini kwa cervix, cervix inapanuka, yani dilation. Ndio sasa mtoto the water breaks and the child gets out.
Nitafanya practice nijue.
Mimi nimenyamaza tunangoja experience yangu hii kitu ni bani yangu. Sasa nitawaelezea.
The muscles of the uterus.
So what contracts and what tightens?
It is the uterus. It is the uterus that contracts.
The uterus, yeah.
Muscles of the uterus.
The muscles of the uterus.
Then the cervix widens or dilates.
Not in wall.
Sorry?
So hii cervix ikikataa widen, sasa ndio mtu anapelekwa kwa theater.
Yes.
Sure.
Lazima ipanuke kabisa.
Pascal.
Yes.
Kuna wengine pia wana prefer tu hii theater, watakangi kusikia uchungu.
Wote wao wapeleke kama wataki.
Wewe unafikiri ni mchezo?
Bado wanasahau tu wanakuwa wajawazito.
Hiyo ni makasi ya Mungu, achane na makasi ya Mungu tu.
Edwin. Okay, let me see the two hands here. Anthony. Anthony. Hi. Anthony Matege, unmute and talk.
Okay, Pascal, am I audible now?
Yes.
Allow me to respond about this question by saying that it is the walls of the uterus that contract, and once they contract, they push the baby down, heading to the cervix. At the cervix, this is the time when we have the pushing stage. During the pushing stage, the cervix has to contract and expand. It is doing this in a series or at times. Once the baby is pushed, it has to widen a bit so that the baby can move out a bit also. After contracting again, the mother is allowed to push again, and it is through that movement until when the baby comes out. If this is not possible, then it brings a problem. And it is when the mother is now maybe allowed to be taken to the cesarean if the cervix does not now contract and widening and contracting to allow the movement of the baby out. Thank you.
Thank you. Anthony.
Daktari kabisa.
Anthony.
The thing is,
yes, Pascal.
Umeketi ama unakimbia juu unasikia unapumua haraka?
Nimepanda kwa mlima bwana.
Oh, asante.
Kwa mti. Anatafuta network.
Yes,
the thing is there is contraction of the muscles of the womb, and as well as the nini hii maneno ya kupanuka ya cervix.
Dilation.
As it contracts, dilation. As it contracts, the other end also dilates. Now you are not just allowed to push at any point. The nurse is the one to tell you when to push. Ukianza kupush mapema, the cervix vitu vitapasuka huko ndani.
Si mtoto huwa anafika tu na force na unasikia tu upush.
Lakini kuna wale wenye wanapush before hata mtoto haja kichwa haija kufika, anasukumanga tu, na ndio inafanya huko cervix ndani inaleta mambo.
Hata atafura tu afunge njia.
Ndio hiyo. So it is not pushing at all the time. There is a particular time to push, and again, it is what we are interested in here is what contracts and dilates. It is the muscles of the womb that contracts, and then the other part, the cervix, gives way.
It dilates.
That is immediately after birth, it comes normal. But men can tell, we don't know if it comes normal.
It comes normal because imemaliza kazi yake. The womb will just adjust. It's not for the men to tell us.
Pascal, tuende kwa the next slide. Tafadhali.
Tafadhali nionyeshe slide ya A dakika moja. Number 1A.
Dakika moja ni nyingi.
Hapa watu wako active sana. Ogada ndiye ana lead.
Okay. Yeah, imeenda.
I wanted you to screenshot.
Okay, thanks.
Tusonge mbele. Hapo naona tukibeba mizigo hapo. Types of chromosomal aberrations that may occur during prenatal period. Let me increase the font size here. Alafu kuna mtu akona TV sijui gani hiyo inapiga kelele. Si uzime?
42. Size 42.
Ile ya tumbo ya mgongo.
Inaweka kelele si kelele.
Ebu, me I have a question. Ebu nyinyi mwende Google maneno ya kusema mtoto anakunywa amniotic fluid. It could be true because nimesoma mahali. Hebu tu
Mimi
Google alafu kesho tuseme.
nimeweka
Hata mimi najua hiyo kitu ni ukweli.
nimewekea hapo kwa wall so that you confirm for yourselves.
Because iko yenye akikunywa mara sijui inasaidia nini to develop akiwa huko ndani. Hebu tuende tu tusome vizuri.
It is a point.
Ni gani mbaya? Ile ambayo iko kwa mama ni mzuri, ile ambayo wakati akizaliwa ndio mbaya ama?
Because hiyo ita choke na itafunga the airways asibreathe. Sasa ndio wanaona wanataka kujua analia ama alichoke, wanatana na kugonga mgongo haraka, kichwa ikiwa chini, wanagonga ili afungue. Kama alikuwa anachoke afungue mdomo itoke ama nalie. Able to find out.
All right, let's find out and give a report on the same. Explain 5 types of chromosomal aberrations that may occur during prenatal period. And we said yesterday that there is a difference between the chromosomal aberrations and also genetically inherited conditions. So one here, we talk about the Turner syndrome. Of course, this is a condition that affects only females. And it results when one of the X chromosomes or the sex chromosomes is missing or partially missing. Yesterday, there was a debate that how can a chromosome miss? Now, if somebody is able to be born with an extra chromosome making 47, then it is also possible that somebody can be born with a missing chromosome. 46. With a missing chromosome. So this Turner syndrome can cause a variety of medical and a variety of medical conditions and even developmental problems, including short height, failure of the ovaries to develop, and even heart defects, and even small breasts. And when you try to examine deeply and find more about the Turner syndrome, you will realize that many people tend to look at rather many people who come from the families where they are even tall people, and you realize there is 2 or 3 who are dwarf. It may be as a result of this Turner syndrome. And it is, again, it is not necessary that all short people must be having the Turner syndrome. But you'll get that the majority, people maybe from a given family, they are tall people. And then there is a very unique dwarf person, short one from that family. Or even in the families that have in their genetical makeup, there are people who are blessed with the big breasts. And then there is one with very small. In fact, ukiwaweka kwa laini, you look at them, you may think that one does not belong to that family. It may be also as a result of the Turner syndrome. But also, we also have the Klinefelter syndrome, which is only, it is now a condition that affects boys and men, where now they are born with an extra X chromosome, and it also leads them to be having very small testicles. I've never seen this, but Ogada atatuelezea hii. Ogada, umeenda?
Toothpick, ama.
You know, it's always being said, a child can joke with the mother's chest, but there's something of the father the child cannot dare to touch. What to see?
Are you through? So this is, I have heard Demaris calling it toothpick. I don't know
yawa ugada.
Pascal, tuendelee.
Sijui hii Damaris aliona wapi, but all the same, the Klinefelter syndrome, it is an X chromosome, an extra X chromosome in men or in boys that leads to having the small testicles. And also we have another one called the Edwards syndrome, which is also known as trisomy 18, which is rare but very serious condition.
Pascal,
Yes.
next time tutauliza swali hapo. What is now the effect, the results of having now small testicles in men, if it is a result of that?
Next time.
Sasa ni genetical ilifanyika huko wakati alikuwa ana grow kwa Saa hiyo sasa nani anajua?
Hiyo tutatatua next time.
Ni kama wewe kuuliza kwa nini wewe ulizaliwa msichana.
Wow.
Yes, we will. Josephine.
Huh?
Piga na jembe next time.
Mimi siwezi.
Yes, so as we have said, Edwards syndrome is very serious, and it affects how long a baby may survive. So that means the chances of survival of this baby are very minimal. Of course, we also have the Down syndrome, which is a disorder causing developmental and even intellectual delays. And when we talk about the Down syndrome, you realize that in a family that are having the historical records of the Down syndrome, there are those that members of this family where the Down syndrome will actively show its face. And then there are also even the carriers. Wao tu wako nayo kwa damu, but it does not disturb or affect them. And this is why even the couples who are planning to get married, they are advised to go for the medical checkups. We call it the whole body medical checkup, so that it is established if there is any genetical condition that may pose a challenge to the learner. I mean, not to the learner, but to their future children. Then there is either possibility of combating it, or they either get guidance and counseling, and then they are left to make a decision. However, many people fear doing this because if I know that I have a condition in our family that may make my partner to leave me for another person, then it is better we do not go for such tests. And then we also looked at question number 2A on the problems that may arise if a baby is exposed to the following conditions or diseases during birth. Syphilis can cause the bone damage. Now, we say that syphilis is a disease that attacks which part of the body?
The sex organ.
Kwenye iliingilia nayo.
But it attacks the brain.
Kwenye iliingilia nayo, okay. So it may lead to the bone damage. It can as well lead to, we call it the severe anemia. What is anemia?
Lack of blood. Enough blood.
Yes, it can lead to anemia. It can also lead to an enlarged liver and even spleen. Of course, jaundice. What is jaundice?
Yellow coloring of the child.
It can as well cause the nerve problems. That means it can cause mental retardation or mental related problems, causing blindness or deafness. It can as well cause meningitis, and you know meningitis has high chances of leading to paralysis. It can as well cause skin rashes, and finally, it may lead to the baby's death. We also talked about the sorry, before I go to the German measles or rubella, those who have had you know, opportunity of interacting with syphilis. I don't know whether there is one here, but they may tell us how this thing manifests itself in the human. And I'm told that the experience may not be very, very friendly.
Why are you calling it an opportunity?
Yeah, it's because not everyone get it. Then we talked about the German measles or rubella, which can lead to the heart problems. It can bring heart-related problems. It can as well lead to the loss of hearing. It can lead to the loss of the eyesight. It can as well lead to intellectual disability. When we talk about the intellectual disability, there are very many different intellectual disabilities. And because of these disabilities, people do not become people. Oh, have you ever met a person who is walking and is talking alone and answering alone as if they are in a conversation with another person? It can also lead to the problem with the liver or the spleen. In other words, the liver and the spleen can also get damaged as a result of the German measles or the rubella. We talked about the strategies of preventing mother-to-child transmission of human immunodeficiency virus or acquired immune deficiency syndrome, the HIV/AIDS. And this can only be combated by having regular HIV testing and diagnosis. And for women who are pregnant, HIV counseling and testing is the first most critical step in reducing mother-to-child transmission. Now you have been guided, you have been counseled, you accept the fact that you are HIV positive. And that means you need to be extra careful, even as you carry yourself along until the time that you deliver. There is the prenatal treatment. These are treatments that are given to the mother at what time? Yes?
Before birth.
Yes?
Before giving delivery.
I'm not getting it. People, I don't know, two people are talking at the same time. Prenatal, at what time?
Conception, birth.
Before birth.
Before birth, during pregnancy.
Before birth. And then we have, we also have the safe childbirth. That is now during birth, during the birth of the child, which we also call another name of this during birth. How do we call it?
Perinatal.
So during the perinatal, when the child is born, because there is a history or there is a record that the mother to this child is HIV positive, that means that during the childbirth, the doctors should make sure that it is a safe childbirth. That means where the mother's blood and the blood of the child does not get into contact and in a way of taking care of the child. So that means the mother can be HIV positive, but the child can end up coming HIV negative. And then we now have the postnatal care, that is after birth. What are some of these postnatal care?
Exclusively breastfeeding the child.
Yes?
For 6 months.
Exclusively breastfeeding the child for 6 months. That means it is all breastfeeding and no no food like nothing, not even water, si ndio?
Hey.
Yes, exclusively, just the
Na-
milk.
Na sasa wale ninaonanga wana breastfeed 1 month na mtoto anakula, si unaona wanakosea sana.
Maybe they are healthy.
Huyo ni mtoto wa Mluya tu.
Even if they are
Akifuma.
just
No, si ati hata hao peke yao. Wengine wanapewa hadi damu wakunywe. Nacheza na watu hii Kenya. The importance of movement, it is 10:02, but the importance of movement is that it helps in building strong bones and also the muscles. It helps in also in brain development. Remember that as the child moves, it is not just in the development of muscles alone, but also the movement is like an activity where the child is involved holistically, and therefore there is also the brain development. There is the good coordination and reflex reactivity. It is also improving, the movement will also improve learning skills and concentration. It also may lead to mental well-being. Mental well-being, that on the other side means it lowers the anxiety, where we say the anxiety is the fear of the unknown. Like now we are having the exams loading somewhere. There are people who are very anxious here. The people who fear the outcome of that of the examination. Then we talk about the communication skills. They are important one because they are used for expression. You use the communication to express yourself, and you need to know how do you express yourself. There are people who cannot express themselves, yet they are adults. There are those small children who can express themselves better than grown-ups. It also increases the vocabulary, and it also strengthens the self-esteem, and it is also used for the fluency purposes and also for socialization. I'm not going to carry on from here, and what may have not been done, you are going to do on your own, because we are going to convert this document into a PDF and share with you just before we sleep, so that in our next class that begins on Saturday evening, we are going to start looking at research and rehabilitation. And research and rehabilitation, we are going to look at the paper of 2012. 2012, after 2012, we are going to look at the paper of 2013. In that order, 2013, we look at the paper of 2014. In that order, after 2014, we are going to look at the paper of 2011. So we start 2012, 2013, 2014, 2011. So that is how we are going to have our revisions running. And therefore, you are reminded that in as much as we are having limited time, you still have a part to play. And therefore, I want to say that this far we have come, it is by the grace of God, and let us still put our efforts and our hands together, even as we look at research and rehabilitation. The rest that we may have not covered because of the limited time, try as much as possible to do. But this also tells us that immediately after the Knec exam, wengi wetu tunapenda kulala sana. But after the Knec exam, I propose that we begin swiftly the second year's work, so that we are not so that we are not behind the time. At this point, I want us to pray so that if there is any issue, we can address it once we have prayed, so that we can release others. And I don't know, somebody, a man can volunteer and offer us the closing prayer.
Ogada.
Baira unanitafuta but ni sawa tu penye nimekaa. Yaani Ogada ndio umeona tu ni mwanaume hapa.
Kwani ukipendwa ni dhambi?
Wewe ni mwanamke sasa.
Haya, ende chukua yogati yako. Haya, wacha tuombe. Let's pray. Mighty and everlasting Father, we thank you for this far you brought us. Lord, you've been good to us since we started up to this far. Jehovah, thank you for taking us through the revision and being with us, even as we prepare for exams. May you help us understand whatever we read and whatever we do. I thank you and I worship you, O Lord, for it is in Jesus' name that I pray this short prayer, believing and trusting.
Amen.
Amen.
Amen. Thank you very much, Edwin.
Amen. Amen.
Members,
Pastor, I have a question.
yes, Juliet.
Before you proceed, does AGM join this discussion?
Ejem, I've not seen him of late.
He was asking something. I've sent you the text in the chat. If you have, kindly share with him. I don't have it.
I'll find out. I'll find out if I have.
Okay.
Yes.
Thank you.
Hi, Edwin. Ogada umeenda?
Anapika.
Pascal.
Edwin.
Yes, Pascal.
Wacha nikusukumie mizigo, uconvert to PDF utuangushie.
Sawa, haina shida.
Ogada.
Yes.
Nauliza. 0101 ulituma?
0101 ile ya kwanza. Nilituma saa kitambo sana.
Na kama uko nazo situme hadi ya leo. Tafadhali.
So I will check.